Welcome to the Board Game Network. This is James. I'm going to be talking about this expansion for Orleans called Orleans Invasion, put out by Tasty Minstrels. Plays 1 to 5-ish players, and I'll talk about why I say 5-ish. But there's 6 different missions in this game, and some of them are solitaire. There's a 2-player, and then there's a couple of them that are 2 to 5. And so I'm going to just present them separately. I'm assuming that you already know how to play Orleans, so I'm not going to go over the Orleans rules. Just going to tell you about the differences between each scenario and the regular Orleans game. So to start off, we get rid of the hourglass tokens. I'm going to be talking about the prosperity scenario right now. It plays 2 to 5 players. 5 players. You'll notice when you open this, there are no pieces for a 5th player. And upon doing some reading and research, I find out that DLP, this company right here, apparently released a 5-player expansion set for the regular Orleans, which means it had the tokens and the bag and the stuff for a 5th player, so you could play that with the regular Orleans game. Well, this game says it plays 1 to 5, and right here it says important, you need a copy of Orleans base game to play this expansion. And it says it plays 1 to 5 players on here, somewhere right there. Okay. But it does not say you need a 5th player expansion, and apparently the 5th player expansion is available in Germany. I checked where I get my games from, and they don't have a 5th player expansion. And so there's some controversy on Board Game Geek about this, about not having 5th player stuff in here, even though it says it plays 5th player, and it doesn't say on the box that you need to have this other expansion. It only says you need the base game. So, giving Tasty Minstrel a little ding here for not including 5th player stuff, or not saying on the box that you have to have these magic 5th player expansion that you can get over in Germany. Well, don't know if Tasty Minstrels is aware, but there is another part of the world that doesn't get stuff from Germany, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, prosperity. There is this carpenter, and what you do is you have these structure cards. You get dealt 2 of these at the beginning of the game, and you discard 1, keep 1. And they essentially give you other missions to do to get victory points. And you have to complete the card and get victory points, and you can then get more cards if you want to. You put this little thing on your scriptorum here that lets you either use it like a normal scriptorum or lets you draw 2 cards, keep 1. Now if you already have a card in your hand and you draw 2, you actually have to discard down to 1. So if you don't like the card you have, you use a scriptorum, you draw 2 more, and you keep 1 of the 3. And then you put these are in your hand, but once you move the carpenter around, each of these has a town on your city, and you have to move the carpenter around to the city that's listed on your card, and you use this little expansion board, and you either put boatman or trader. You either put a boatman or a trader on any of these spaces, and so you can move up to from 1 to 3. So it kind of works just like the town hall, where you can use 1 at a time or 2 at a time or up to 3. And the boatman moves you along waterways, and the trader moves you on the road so that you can get the carpenter over to the city you need to get him to. And these little maps here show you with an X where that city's at. Once you get him down to the city that is on the card, you can put that card face up in front of you, and then you try to complete the card. And so most of them have some kind of follower tokens on them. So to put follower tokens on them, you have to use the town hall. You either use the town hall or the gunpowder tower to move tokens over here. And once you get that complete, you flip it over, you discard all of your tokens off of it. Tokens that are on there stay on there until you complete the card. Once you complete the card, all of those followers come back on the board. Any goods that are on there are out of the game. Some of them have goods, and goods you just place on there. You don't have to put anything funky or on a specific space or anything. And then as soon as you complete one, you put this neutral token on top and you draw 2 more cards automatically. Keep 1. So you've gotten rid of your hourglass events, and you have this board that says prosperity on it. And so you have 16 fixed events, so you can see where all the events are that are coming, and the game ends after 16 events. You get rid of this board here, and you have simply this board right here that replaces this one. And when you put followers on here, they have to be your non-player followers. They can't be your starting followers. And you cannot put monks on there unless it explicitly asks for monks. You cannot put technology on these cards. And so that adds victory points to the end of the game, just like your normal victory points. And you don't start with all of the citizen tokens. So the setup's slightly different for each of these, but I don't need to go into the setup for those. Any tokens and goods that did not complete a card that are sitting over there, at the end of the game, you actually get your points for, because you didn't use them. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about the invasion scenario, and it's a 2 to 5 player cooperative game set up for invasion. And you set up these places where you have to have fortified cities around the outside edge. Your goal in the cooperative is to fulfill your personal objectives as well as a team objectives, the team objectives that everybody has to fulfill. And if any of those is not fulfilled at the end of the game, after all of the events are done, then the team loses. Everybody loses. And so each person has a different role to play, and some of them are harder and some are easier. And each of them has a personal objective. So like this assembly hall has to be completed by the councilman. He's the only one that uses that. You have completely new events. You have this board replaces your beneficial deeds board, and so you have a different setup for all your citizens, where you get citizens. And here are your team objectives. You have to have a certain number of knights out here based on the number of players, a certain number of citizens you put out here, coins, goods. You have to build a fortified tower in each of the outer ring of the city, and some of them already start out there based on the number of players, and you have to complete all your personal objectives. You have some new actions you can do. This one lets you put from 1 to 3 goods on here on the city, or give from 1 to 3 goods to another player. This does the same thing with coins to another player or to the city. This one lets you give a follower to another player, and it actually becomes theirs. It goes in their sack, and this one lets you take somebody else's action. So if they fill up the action with their followers, then you can fill this in with 2 of anything and actually take their action that they had planned. So it's a way of playing 2 of the same action maybe, or something like that, or maybe you don't have the correct tokens to take the action, somebody else does. So that's the way the invasion, the cooperative scenario works for Orleans Invasion. Okay, Duel is another scenario, and it's a 2-player scenario. And you have this board here. This replaces your beneficial deeds board right here. And here are your fixed events. So you get rid of your hourglass tokens. You have this in addition to your actions. And both players can actually play on this, and it does one of 4 things, whichever you want. You can get one of any goods. You can move on the road or the water. You can get 5 coins, or you can move 3 up on the development track. And your goal in the duel is to be the first person to get 4 objectives done. And you can do them in any order. It suggests you play yellow and green because it's got them marked here. And you can just put one of these neutral tokens down there when you complete that objective. You can do it in any order. You get rid of the census phase 2, and that's gone in most of these scenarios in this expansion. You do not have torture. If you cannot pay for your events, then you immediately lose. No torture. First person to get to all 4 objectives is the winner, and if there's a tie, then the most victory points. The last 3 scenarios are all 3 of them are solo, and they're essentially the same game. You don't play them differently. You've got the Dignitary, the Traveling Salesman, and the Capital Horizon. This one is a simpler, easier game. The other 2 are medium to hard games. And what your goal is to complete some objective before you run out of events, before you run out of turns. And so for the Dignitary, you have to have accumulated either 7 or 8 citizens before the time runs out. This one's an easier, 7 citizens is easier. This is harder, lets you adjust based on how hard of a game you want to play. The Traveling Salesman has 5 objectives here, and you have to complete all 5 objectives before you get through the 15 events, and these are fixed objectives. These are fixed objectives, or fixed events, sorry. These are fixed events, and this one you lose for our first 10 rounds. You either lose a good or you lose 2 coins. Here you lose 2 goods or 4 coins. And if you cannot do that, then you lost the game. Here you've got the Capital Horizon, and so here's 5 objectives you need to complete before you get down to the 14th event. So like this one says, hire a builder. This one, establish a building company. So you build a trading station in this town. You deliver goods worth 12 victory points to this town. You pay 25 coins. You have at least 28 VP from development. These ones are deliver certain kinds of food to this town, deliver different kinds of food here, deliver a complete set of goods here, deliver 3 wool, deliver a brocade. So this one has you running around the towns. So, and both of these say if it's too easy for you, there's a couple of things you can do to make it harder. One of them is limit you to 1 objective completed per event round. And the second thing is to force you into completing the objectives in order. So you would have to do these in the order that they're written if you want to make it a little bit harder. So that is how Orleans Invasion, how it's different than the regular Orleans. Quite a bit of stuff in here. So, 6 different scenarios. You've got once again, you've got the Duel, the 2-player scenario. You have 3 solitaire scenarios, and then you've got 2 to 5 player scenarios. I wish they would have put the 5th player parts in there, and I'm sure they're going to get a lot of flack over not doing that. But they should have either put it on there or put it on the box that you needed to scab stuff out of Settlers Catan or something. I don't know. Something. Anyway, that is Orleans Invasion. Make sure you tune into all of our videos at the Board Game Network so you can keep up to date on what kind of videos we're doing, or how to play, and our reviews, and anything we have to talk about.